All right, well, welcome to another couch co-op edition of the All Chat Gaming Podcast. Just here with Keefin.
Ryan.
Everyone else is doing stuff, so it's just us two this time. And it's going to be a little bit different as well. Instead of having gaming news is kind of like part of every part of our topic. So we're going to talk about a little bit of what we played, but then move on pretty much straight into the topic and the news that we have and kind of how that all works.
So this week I played some more Heroes, slowly but surely getting back up to gold. I played Heroes last night with Nick and Sheldon, and that was pretty fun. There was one of the games that we played that was ridiculous how bad the other team was. That me and Sheldon were pretty much sabotaging each other to get the kills. Like I was Genji and he was someone called the Butcher. And Genji has this move that moves him like super quick. It's called Swift Strike. And so
Is he the Throwing Star Ninja?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I stole so many kills from Sheldon by doing that. Like I would wait for him to do enough damage, and then like to the point where I knew that the Swift Strike would kill them.
Oh,
so I stole so many kills from him by doing that. Anyway, so I started playing Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 this week too.
Good game.
So I played it a little bit when I was a little kid, not a ton.
I played so much of that game. It's kind of embarrassing how much I played with friends.
When I played it as a kid, I was more evil than I am now, but that's just because like I didn't pay attention to the objective. Because like if you lose the objective, the game still goes on. Like your map still goes on. It doesn't stop you. So, like I've been trying to get actually complete the objective. Oh, another game I actually started this week was I bought the expansion for StarCraft 2, like one of the most recent one.
They have a recent expansion for StarCraft 2?
Oh, I mean it was years ago, but I mean, like it was the Nova expansion, where. Sure.
I know what that means.
Yeah, he totally knows what that means. Anyway, I've been finishing up that, and I've been playing some Duel Links. I don't mention that very much here because it's usually not real. I just play it usually in between, breaks or whatever. But I got to Platinum. It's one of the only things, one of the only gaming things I've actually gotten to Platinum on.
Isn't it the only gaming thing you've gotten to Platinum on?
No, I got to Diamond on Lucio Ball.
It's not Platinum.
That's farther than Platinum.
That's fair.
But Lucio Ball was just like
it's also not like a real game.
No, it is a real game, but it's like it's not like as it's just a one-time, like once a year thing.
Yeah.
On Overwatch, but no, like out of all the games that I play that have ranks, it's the one that I've actually gotten to Platinum on, and now that I'm in Platinum, like the good thing is that once you get to Platinum, like so. There's certain ranks. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the next rank. But if you get you start off with Rookie and then you go to Bronze. If you get from Rookie to Bronze 1, it doesn't matter how many games you lose at Bronze 1, you don't leave Bronze.
Oh.
So.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's forgiving.
And so I've gotten up to Platinum, and I'll win one game, then I'll lose two, then I'll win one, then lose two, then win one, lose two. But
you never leave it.
Like I'm not gonna leave.
With my headphones.
I'm not gonna be leaving Platinum until the season resets.
You can edit this part out.
Well, I'm sure that you're gonna take some of that and add it at the beginning.
Oh, why did you do something?
Yeah.
Ah, of course. All right, continue with what you were saying. So you got to Platinum and you don't get out. Anything else you played? No. I mean. I guess I've been playing Hearthstone with Kenny, I play a little bit more at home than I used to before, just because I kind of want to try to get just a little bit to Kenny's level. So you can make a deck where you can fight with your own deck against him?
Yeah, but that's gonna be a while because I mean he spent like $2,000 on that game, and I don't want to spend any money on that game.
Yeah, so Kenny's one of our mutual work friends, and he's really obsessed with Hearthstone. And so I've played with him, but they have a new thing where you can use like a deck he's created against him, which he'll do all the time. He'll always share his because he thinks it's fun. So usually when playing against him, it's smarter for people who, like us, play sometimes. Like, I play every once in a while, I have fun with it, but I'm not, like, hardcore. To use one of his, because he purchases so many that he has way better cards than we could ever hope to have.
Yeah, he's like rank 4 or 5.
Yeah, he's really good.
Out of 25, because you start out rank 25, and then you have to win 5 games. Like at rank 25, you don't have to win them consecutively.
Yeah.
But like
to
once you get to is it to 19?
Or is it 20?
I don't know.
It's one of those.
Around that, and then if you have to win them consecutively to move up.
Yep.
And then so getting up to rank 5 is ridiculous. I've never gotten past rank 23 or 22 because I haven't really tried.
I've gotten to like 15 once, and then I lost everything and went back to like 19. But that was like a one-time thing. I usually stick in like 17s or 18s because I'm just not good enough.
Yeah. And I used to play it a lot more before other games came like Duel Links or because like Duel Links is more nostalgic for me because I played Yu-Gi-Oh a lot when I was a kid, so it's cool to have it on my phone. Kind of like Nick 2 years ago I think he posted something, he tagged me in, it was like waiting for Yu-Gi-Oh Go, and it's like this guy with like the dual disc.
Oh yeah.
But that's pretty much what Duel Links is. It's the equivalent to Pokemon Go, but Yu-Gi-Oh Go. Because like yesterday, Adam, Nick, and I went to that ramen restaurant, and while we were waiting, Adam and I were dueling pretty much the whole time. Because I mean that's the nice thing about it is that you can, if you have a friend that plays it, you can play it on the go. You don't need to bring your cards everywhere.
Yeah.
That would have been awkward just playing in that little hallway with our cards. Just
That would have been weird.
super nerdy.
Wow, still nerdy.
Well, yeah, still nerdy.
People
but,
just don't know it.
We're hiding it.
So is that pretty much all you've played?
Yep.
Okay. So I didn't play a ton this week. I repicked. I played some League, and I also did a little bit of Rainbow Six with Nick again. Not our Nick, different Nick. Work friend Nick. But then I also went back to Horizon Zero Dawn on PlayStation. So I played that. I want to say.
So what kind of game is that? Like you and Tanner talked about it, and I don't know.
It's an open world RPG, basically. You'd like it. It's fun. Like I actually got through some other exploring. The problem with me in open world games is I can't help myself. So I'll always like get distracted by everything, and I can't just focus on the main quest. And I kind of wish I could because the story is interesting in the game, but I get so distracted by other things. So yeah, like I went throughout this entire. So basically, what the idea is there's like robot dinosaurs. It's in the future, but they basically destroyed humanity. So like the tribe that you start with, they are very primitive, like bows and arrows and all that stuff. But they do like hunt the machines. So like. They know of the old ones, as they call them. They know of their technology, and you'll see like dead shells of like old cars and like huge buildings and things like that. And I think other societies in the game might have used that technology more to their advantage, but I haven't been in that part of the world yet. But I did just explore through like one of like the old. It was like basically a plant that made them, like the machines, and it's still continuing by itself, just autonomously. And I went through an entire thing, so like a very futuristic looking place in this very like old style game. Yeah. So it's like kind of a pretty cool mix. I'm hoping like it's actually like a really big world, so I'm hoping when I get to explore more of it that it really opens up new possibilities. Yeah. But yeah, they're basically like dinosaurs or animal like robots. Like each robot has a different like way they work. And then there are ones that are corrupted and ones that aren't. And if they're corrupted, they'll be red and they'll attack you no matter what. If they're not corrupted, depending on which kind they are, they might run. Because some are like grazers or like. And they sit there and like dig in the dirt and like there's different ones that do different things, so it's actually pretty cool because there's a lot of different types. There's like flying ones, they get pretty intense, and then there's also bad humans that you fight as well. So yeah, it's a pretty fun game. I want to get into it more, and I really want to know what the story is because it is an intriguing story, even with what I still think as sometimes bad voice acting. But other than that, like it is a really fun game. Like I think you'd enjoy it. Like it's definitely
if it's only for PS4, I'm probably
it is, which is the only reason I have it is because I won that PS4. I never would have bought it for it, but it's considered one of the best games. Like it got really good ratings. It barely lost to Zelda Breath of the Wild for Game of the Year. So they were like two of the big names.
You know, if I ever managed to get myself a PS4
Or a Switch to play Zelda.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully I win the Switch at work. I mean, even if I don't, honestly, at the end of August, I'll probably be buying a Switch.
Yeah, that'll be good. We can do some good content with that as well.
So,
But yeah, that's pretty much all I play.
yeah. I guess we'll move on to our topic now. This one isn't going to be about gaming, more about entertainment as a whole. Should entertainers in general be held to the same standard that politicians are for their words? We were talking about a little bit before about like for example, PewDiePie just came under fire for an insensitive tweet that he did about Demi Lovato. Now I read a little bit about the article, but I don't know any of the backstory behind like why it was insensitive or
What did
anything.
he say?
It was a joke about how like Demi Lovato's mom gave her money for a burger and she ended up using it to go get like cocaine or heroin or something.
Yeah, so I can give you the backstory there. So Demi Lovato used to have like a drug addiction and
Mhm.
got sober, and she was very public about it, and then she recently relapsed, and then she overdosed on heroin. So she's not dead,
Oh, but she
still overdosed and was in like really bad condition in the hospital.
Oh.
So it was something that she'd been fighting for years and like an advocate like for it, and then she relapsed.
No, well.
So
Yeah,
that's why it would be considered insensitive.
Yeah, now that I have the backstory, like I can see why.
Yeah.
At least Demi would be upset about it, but I haven't seen anything about her commentating on that at all. It's only been backlash from fans, which is kind of what we're talking about. Should the masses, or just like the general public, have a say in people's
what's wrong
and
or right?
what's wrong or right, or the trajectory of someone's career, like James Gunn, for example, when he got fired from Disney because of the tweets that he said years ago, like what was it, 10 years ago?
I think it might have been 10 years ago, but yeah, like obviously, like we're not condoning what he said in any way, because it was some bad stuff. I don't know if you read any of the ones.
I saw some of them.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, pretty screwed up stuff that he said, but the question is, should an entertainer, especially a comedian, be held to that same standard that we would expect from, like, role models? Should they be role models? Take
Get off my jeans.
Come here. So yeah, should they be held to that same standard? Because, I mean, he apologized already for it years ago. I think in like 2010, he actually like publicly said like that he regrets saying what he did, that he never actually followed through on anything, that he was trying to be funny. He knows it didn't work, but he was just trying to be funny, and that he apologizes for what he said. Why do you keep tempting her?
So the free speech part of me, like, honestly, like, as long as he didn't act out on it, like, I don't particularly care what he said. Obviously, it was distasteful, but I mean, honestly, I'm a little biased too because I have liked the Guardians of the Galaxy movies,
Right.
and I'm a little nervous that if it gets a new
Director,
it could kind of screw up
Come here, you.
trajectory of those movies.
We're a podcast, kitty.
But like, no, I know this isn't particularly, I guess, common on my, like, because I consider myself a conservative, and a lot of people were upset on the conservative side that Roseanne was fired for a tweet that, I mean, it was I don't remember what it said. I know it was like blatantly racist or something.
Yeah,
like
it was
that.
bad.
But and so like I think it should be up to the companies that they're working for, not so much the masses. So like if the company would have deemed that like racially insensitive, which I mean apparently it was. I say apparently just because I don't remember what it was, because I'm sure if I heard what it was I would probably agree. But like people shouldn't have to face such backlash, and then because I'm sure the reason why Disney fired James Gunn too was probably because of the backlash. Like if it wouldn't have come out in the first place, or I mean I guess it did come out years ago, but he already apologized for it. But like I don't think he should have been fired for that. Like maybe giving out another apology. Like even though he already gave one, but honestly, like if I were in his position, I probably would have just done it again, apologize again, which I'm sure he has, but like,
which he has.
It's just people have to understand that words are just. I mean, I know that some people take words more seriously than others, but he never acted on it. I don't think he should be fired for it. And I mean, the thing that was unpopular on my side is that because he was fired when Roseanne was fired, and so people are like, "Oh yes, like the left is starting to eat itself." But I mean, free speech is free speech. Like it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter whose side you're on. Like if he said something stupid and he apologized for it, great. I mean, he obviously hasn't acted on it, at least as far as anyone's aware.
Yeah.
And
I would say on the other side to that though is by becoming an entertainer / like a public figure, you've put yourself in a position where people are looking at you. So whether you want it or not, you've become a role model.
Right. Actually.
And that's like a big thing that Bernie from Rooster Teeth talks about. I've never tried to hide that. I'm a huge fan of Rooster Teeth. Like that's something he's mentioned is like once you get into that public sphere, like whether you want it or not, you've chosen that, and at that point, what happens is you are becoming some kind of role model.
You open yourself up to that realm of being able to be attacked by the masses.
Yeah, so you have to make that choice of how do you want to conduct that behavior.
I actually was talking to a coworker about it the other day about how people shouldn't, or like how I don't think entertainers should be as vocal politically, but at the same time, like I understand they're still human. They still obviously are going to have their own opinion, but they have to understand that they are in that public realm now. Like whether they want to or not. Nowadays I know they shouldn't, but people worship celebrities now, like, and people take their word as gospel, and that's not a good thing, but
and it's not necessarily their fault either.
No, but it's not exactly the entertainer's fault either, which is why, like, I don't think we should exactly be silencing the entertainers, but at the same time, like, they still have to be conscious as to what they're saying, because it's going to affect not only them, but it's going to affect the people that look up to them.
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of like, so this is back a little bit further, a different controversy, but similar to like the entertainment sphere and even gaming more, is the Guild Wars 2 writers that were fired. I'm trying to see if I can find the names because I can't remember them off the top of my head. Okay, so Jessica Price and Peter Fry. So Jessica Price had an interaction with a fan of the game. He is an active streamer of the game, and she said something about how it's very difficult to build a narrative for an MMO because you want to have a character that's blank enough for people to be able to impress their own feelings upon, basically, because they want to be them in the world.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, I disagree with you. It was actually a very respectful reply. And he was like, that's why you can have branching narratives, like communications, where you could say different things so that you still have what the developers want to be in there, but there's still a voice for the people to give voice to that character as opposed to being a silent protagonist. And then it kind of blew up. She got really pissed, said a lot of bad things, swore at him, cussed him out. And a lot of that could have been because of different previous people who had said things to her. I don't deny for a moment that she may have gotten a lot of hate from other people that wasn't so respectful. And it can be difficult when someone is actively going against you.
Yeah.
to be respectful, especially when it's multiple people. You might not attack the right person because you're human, like you mentioned before. But they band together, like a bunch of people on Reddit, got her fired, and then someone at the company who tried to defend her also got fired. So, and I can't tell if that's the only reason. I mean, who knows what else she was like at the company? They could have just been looking for that final end reason to get rid of her. But from what it looks like she was fired because of that. And it wasn't something she was doing as part of the company. It was her personal account. But as an entertainer, or in this case a writer, she did have to still hold up that part of the company. And if they felt that was inappropriate to treat the fans that way, I mean, obviously they have a right to fire her. But at this point, the thing that worries me is how much power do the fans of people like? How much power does the internet have? Whether it be like you mentioned, like it doesn't matter if it's on the left or the right. It doesn't matter what you believe in. What matters is, like, how much is this too much power for people to have to be able to be offended by something and then get someone fired for it? Like, is that too much power?
I would say it definitely is, because people aren't generally, just as a general rule, I would say that they probably don't look into the specifics as to what happened. Like, they don't. Yeah. They only look at the very, very outer surface as to what happened, when there could be like they're just seeing like the tip of the iceberg, and there could be like a gigantic iceberg underneath that little stuff that's at the top. And the little stuff at the top is always what's outraging people nowadays. Like, whether it's on the right or the left, like it's easy to not do any research, to just see one, like,
see what you want.
See what you want. See a headline that's controversial, and then just get upset over it. And then it's once one person gets upset, then another person gets upset, then another, then it gets to the point where that I can kind of see where the companies are coming from a little bit, but I think the companies are giving the people too much power, because obviously the companies want to look good in the public eye. They don't want to lose that potential business, but by doing so, you're giving the consumer way too much power. Like, I used to be a server, and so if I was to give the customer everything that they always wanted all the time, like, the company wouldn't, like, the company couldn't hold, like, the business we would have run out of business.
Yeah.
Just because, like, you can't have everything that you want all the time. And
people are going to say controversial things. And they might not even mean to be controversial. I'm not, like, James Gunn and maybe what PewDiePie said and what Roseanne said, like, obviously those were controversial things. There was no, like, way around that. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It was definitely controversial. But, I mean, that's what comedians do regardless. Like, comedians always say that kind of stuff.
They push the boundaries because that's kind of their job.
Yeah, and it's like, the problem becomes is like, when does something that's supposed to be funny and obviously not real become so offensive to someone that they can't see the difference between what someone actually believes and what they make as a joke. But, like I mentioned before, these people also have to realize they are now in the public eye, which they did to themselves. Whether they like it or not, they chose that life, and the consequences of that lifestyle come with that. That's like right now we work at a collections agency, so right now I'm in leadership, but regardless, we do a lot of customer care, lots of customer service. If I were to swear at a customer, where Ryan were, we'd be fired. Like, the outrage of that one person would be enough to get us fired because we have to follow those company guidelines. So, while there is a specific guideline that, yeah, maybe shouldn't be crossed, but these people need to be aware of what those are. And James Gunn is now with Disney. Was with Disney. And he said these things way before he was with them. So in that way, like, I do believe people can change. So that does kind of get on my nerves a little bit. But also, he had every chance to delete those tweets. Like, he already apologized for them. Is there any reason to actually keep them on any longer? Like, what good does it do to keep them up? And Rian Johnson, who's directed the Star Wars movies, or the last one, actually just deleted like 20,000 tweets because he's nervous. He doesn't want internet trolls, as I think he said actually specifically, to dig anything up. He's like, I don't think I've said anything specifically bad, but you can never be too sure in this world that we live in. And do we want, like, is that what we really want? Like, those people that we look to for humor or to create content for us, do we want them to be so worried that they can't say anything anymore?
I mean, yeah, that's when you get into a serious, like, free speech issue there. Free speech there's a delicate balance between free speech and being offended, but
or being offensive,
because like if you want to say something offensive, you have to be able to live with the consequences.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I don't think those consequences should be as dire as they have been lately. Because, like, even though, like, with James Gunn, I probably don't agree with much of what he believes either. But I don't believe he should be fired for it, for a joke that I find completely distasteful, especially if he's already apologized for it. Like, I believe people can change too. Like, 10 years ago, like, come on.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
And, like, I get that people are going to make the comparison between Roseanne and James Gunn. Because I think Roseanne fired back because she said that she was disgusted by the support that James Gunn has gotten.
Yes, she did.
But, so I kind of get where she's coming from, but hers was also more recent.
And I don't think she ever apologized either.
Yeah, she never apologized for it. No, that's a completely different issue, too.
Yeah.
But, Disney does have the right to fire who they'll fire, especially if it's... Because when people get hired, especially for such big names, like, I'm sure they have to sign a contract that says that they're going to follow some kind of
regulation
or guideline, and and like you were saying before, if people are going to be in the public spotlight, they have to know that everything they said is going to be put under a microscope.
Yeah.
Like, everything. I mean, obviously, there's the people that are going to look at it like they're just going to see the very surface of it.
Yeah.
And are going to judge based off of that when they should really judge it off of evidence and the research and everything. But
I mean, that's the world that we live in, though. Like, we live in an internet world where everything you do is basically public.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, especially with celebrities, almost anything that they do is going to be public knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they can barely hide from anything. So it's like they make, especially younger celebrities, they make a dumb thing or something that maybe many of us have done in the past, but it's under such a spotlight that it becomes such a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because as a kid, I definitely said dumb things. Do I think I said something like to that level? No. But I know I said dumb things as a kid. Because you're dumb as a kid. And even 10 years ago, I probably said things that I would be like, ooh, why did I say that? Because people change with time, as well as times change. So, like, what was funny 30 years ago isn't going to be funny now.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe even the same can be said for what was funny 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Does that make it right what he said? I will say that he shouldn't have said them, regardless of what he was trying to get at. But I still think that people need to realize when things happen are important. And unless it hurts someone, it's hard for me to say that there should be a huge repercussion. If there was anyone affected by something, like the Me Too thing, that's a whole different story. Things that people did 30 years ago, they deserve to go down for. Because that hurt someone. But
if it's just
those words,
like...
it's hard for me to fully agree at the same level. Now, if they're saying it now, in the world we live in now, they should definitely know the consequences. Because they've seen it a million times. I mean, taking PewDiePie, for example, again, how many times has he gotten in trouble for saying dumb things? Like, he already got fired from his YouTube Red show, Scare PewDiePie, because of something he said against, like, Middle Eastern people. He's been, like, in trouble so many times because he just has never learned. He also said, I think, the N-word on a stream in, like, anger at someone, which is obviously not okay. And
I think I saw his apology video for that.
Like, and he should know he's in a public sphere. That's not... Even if you're not in the public sphere, you should know. And, like, come on. Like, he just doesn't learn. The problem is, Like, some people will get thrown under the bus more than others, and I feel like PewDiePie has such a following that he can continue to get away with it. While people like James Gunn, they're under the strict guidelines of Disney, which has its brand of very family friendly, and they'll get rid of anyone that they see gets rid of that perspective. Like, if there's anything that kind of puts any mark on that brand that they've created, they will get rid of. While someone like PewDiePie, he has such a following that he can say whatever he wants, get in trouble as much as he wants, but then it doesn't matter because all the kids that follow him still love him. And it's not just kids, I know. I was generalizing. But it is a lot of kids that follow him. And I think in a way, like, PewDiePie should know that the standard he needs to be held to should be higher, especially with the huge amount of younger audience that follows him.
I mean,
kind of like Ninja, who streams. He's the Twitch streamer of Fortnite. And he's tried to be more kid-friendly. A lot of people might call that selling out. I think that's called looking at the atmosphere of how the world's going and choosing your smart battles. Like, he can still be himself without having to say these potentially controversial things. And if he wants to get in that sphere, then he probably needs to move into something different.
Yeah, because we barely have almost 30 subscribers, and we're more careful than PewDiePie is. And it's just, yeah, if you're gonna put yourself out there, you have to know. Like, you have to be aware as to what you're getting into.
Yeah.
And because obviously, like, you know, free speech, great, we need to have it. And like, I don't think that people's careers should be based off of public opinion, because a lot of the times, it's like I said at the beginning, it's not going to be based off of all of the information. It's only going to be based off of whatever the news outlets want you to see or want you to be outraged by. And I don't think that's fair I don't think it was fair to James Gunn. I don't think it was particularly fair to that girl who was fired. But I don't know the entire, like, and we
and
already
honestly,
mentioned,
it was a pretty, like, what she said, and I would pull it up, but this has already been killed by so many other podcasts, so there's no need to tread it that much. But she definitely said some pretty nasty things.
Oh, okay, well,
like the F word, a bunch of things. Like, she cussed this kid out.
Well, yeah, and plus if she worked for a company that,
like, even on your personal time, you have to realize that you still talk for them.
You're still a representative for that company, even if you're off the clock. Which,
especially as a writer.
So, and yeah, Jim, like, we want to keep free speech as intact as it can, and I fear that if we keep on letting the public decide who's going to
go down
for their sins, more or less, then I think we're treading in dangerous waters here, and we could easily get to a point where free speech is threatened in this country, and that's, I believe, what's made it so great, is because there's so many different opinions out there, and it's great that everyone can express themselves without fear of government taking it away.
Yeah. And as you know, I'm like a very middle of the road kind of guy. So for me, the thing that bugs me the most about these things is that people don't look at both sides, and they don't try to come up with like a thought out conclusion. They just attack immediately. That's just how the internet is, and it's how it's probably going to be for almost ever. But for me, we should really take the time to let people, and if they do say something, listen to them and try to hear them out. And if we don't deem what they say as more like a good enough reason or whatever, then yeah, the company should be able to decide. And I feel like the best way for people to decide is to stop doing it. Like, if you don't like something that someone said,
just stop.
If you get offended by PewDiePie, if you get offended by James Gunn, don't go to their things. Don't watch what they do. No one's forcing you to do that. So to me, like, part of the outrage just seems so ridiculous because you can't take a differing opinion from your own, and they couldn't either. Like I'm specifically talking about the writer. She freaked out about it because she couldn't take a differing opinion. So I think it goes both ways.
Yeah.
And I think both people need to come together to realize if we can come to and actually think about what we say before we say it, and
that would also solve a lot of problems.
It would. And if something does happen and someone comes out and apologizes and tries to rectify the situation, that we should be able to get past these things dependent upon what was done or what was said. But I also think that certain levels of entertainment should have different protections than a politician. Like, obviously, comedians are going to say insane stuff. That's because that's their job. It's what people love that. And you don't have to watch that comedian. Like, if some comedian says something, you don't have to watch that joke. You don't have to watch that comedian. You don't have to watch that entertainer. You can choose not to. And that doesn't take away any of your rights to choose not to do that. You can go to one of the millions of other things that exist in the world today. Do I think that they should watch themselves? Yes. But do I also think that there is a different level of like responsibility between someone that's an entertainer and someone who's perhaps a politician or someone who's like a great figure? I do.
Yeah. Thing is, righteous indignation is an addictive feeling.
Yeah. And when someone feels like they're right, they'll fight for it.
Mm-hmm. So I think that, yeah, we as, as people who are consumers of entertainment, if we don't like something, there's nothing that obligates us to watch it. Like on Pandora, I listen to a couple of comedian stations. I've come across some comedians I just don't like. So what do? I hit on the thumbs down. That way I don't have to listen to them anymore.
Wait, are you sure you don't go on Twitter and then bash them and dredge up old things and get them removed from their job?
I may have done that. Oh wait, never.
Oh, you just do a thumbs down?
Yeah, I just do a thumbs down.
Weird. Huh.
I don't have to listen to that kind of stuff anymore. Like, and the comedians I like, thumbs up. And guess what? Their stuff pops up. Like I listen to the comedians that I think are funny, and I don't listen to the ones I don't.
Weird.
It's as simple as that. Like, I actually don't have a Twitter, so even if I wanted to do that,
and you could make one.
I could, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, and I think like obviously we haven't covered everyone's opinions, and people might have different reasons for being more offended than others. Maybe something happened to you specifically, and that's why you feel like it's such a bad thing. And that's a fair feeling. My only concern would be you have to also understand where that other person is coming from and try to understand why they said something. Mm-hmm. If someone is saying something to be hurtful, then I agree. That should be something that's looked at, and that's perhaps something that should be brought up. But if I think if someone is trying to say something and they didn't have that in mind, that we should be careful with how we react. And like we said multiple times, you don't have to watch something you don't like, which is why you should watch us, because everyone likes us.
Everyone. All 30 people.
Love us.
Or 28, I don't know.
28. They all love us. We hope. But yeah, I think like all in all, I think we actually kind of have like a pretty mutual like conclusion on that, is that it should be like, obviously there are different situations for different things, and I don't want to put everyone that reacts badly in one bubble of they reacted badly because they didn't have the whole story. Again, maybe there is a reason they did. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I do think we need to try to look things from both angles and actually come to a medium conclusion that resolves an actual adult decisions as opposed to just reactionary decisions.
Actually take everything into consideration rather than just the surface.
Just what you want. Mm-hmm. But overall, I think that's a pretty good podcast. Yep. All right, well, thank you all for watching this episode of the All Chat podcast, but gaming, or the couch co-op, as I'm trying to stumble over my words.
Yeah, because this one wasn't really about gaming.
Yeah, so this is just the All Chat podcast co-op edition, couch co-op edition, less of the gaming part. We had some gaming stuff, but yeah, I think overall, thank you guys so much for watching. Please feel free to share this, and if you have a differing opinion or something that you think we missed, because we probably did in this just very short conversation, there's definitely things that we probably missed. Let us know below.
Hit that subscribe button and hit that little bell so you can actually get notifications.
Yes.
And have a good weekend.
Thanks for watching.